Somebody who's been following the controversy in Australia about live cattle exports is one of the world's best-known animal advocates, Jane Goodall. For 45 years, the primatologist lived among and studied chimpanzees in Africa, becoming one of the world's foremost experts. Jane Goodall's currently in Australia, and I caught up with her at Taronga Zoo in Sydney, where, of course, we had to take a look at the resident chimps who were having their afternoon feed. How do you tell which one's the alpha male? What makes them stand out?
You have to know them as individuals.
Right.
And here, apparently, the alpha male sits on a certain rock.
The 77-year-old spends an astonishing 300 days a year on the road. She travels the world, speaking to audiences about conservation and development issues, including at a happiness conference in Brisbane this week. Jane Goodall, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
People have been studying chimps now for a long time. How much more is there still to learn?
You know, the longer you study them, and it is 50 years for us now, the more questions there are to ask. And we're also getting new technology which enables us to learn new things, and that leads again to new questions. So there's a lot more work to be done.
What's the most surprising thing you've learned about chimps in all your years of studying them?
I suppose the most surprising, shocking thing is the fact that, like us, they have a dark side to their nature and they can be very violent. I mean, their personalities differ from each other just like ours, and there are generous ones and crusty and bad-tempered ones and selfish ones and playful.
In terms of human nature, or human personality, we often talk about it in terms of, is it a nature or nurture thing? What about chimps and the development of their personality?
Exactly the same as with us. It's a mixture of nature and nurture. And of supreme importance is the personality and status of the mother and her mothering techniques. And these will change as she gets older and has more offspring and gains in more experience and gains a higher position in the hierarchy. And all of this will affect her subsequent offspring.
Have the observational skills that you've honed over the years in watching chimps helped you in your human interactions?
I think it helped me as a mother to be a better mother. I like to think it did anyway. I realised the tremendous importance of the early years, which is something human child psychiatrists are really stressing now.
What about just in terms of social interactions and the way people behave in relation to one another?
Well, I enjoy watching people from the perspective of having observed chimpanzees. I like to watch the body language and seeing two people smiling at each other, and you know it's more like the fear grin of the chimp than really smiling.
There are so many issues that worry people about the future of the planet. Is there any one particular thing that you think is the most pressing concern?
I would say absolutely the increasing growth of the human population kind of underlies everything. And then building on that, you've got your huge numbers of people living in abject poverty, destroying the environment because they have to survive. And then on the other hand, you've got the rest of us who are living unsustainable lifestyles, and many who have far more than they need.
So what's your answer then on the population growth question, because it's such a controversial area?
Yes, it's one that people haven't liked to address, but it's logical. I mean, if you have an area of land and people living there who can't move out because of, there's people everywhere else, then there's got to be a balance. And all the African people I've talked to completely understand that if you have one family in a certain piece of land living a good life, two families will be a little bit harder. And then as time goes on with more and more children, it will become impossible. They see it. So in our program in the villages, we do empower women, because it's been shown all the way around the world that as women's education improves, family size tends to drop. And we provide family planning information, which they all welcome. In fact, we had a completely unexpected development where one man started a whole trend in asking for vasectomies, which in an African man is extraordinary.
And so that actually took off, did it? Wow. Whereabouts was that?
That was in around Gombe. One of the Tanzanians, he said, I can't afford to feed more children. I mustn't have more children because I want to look after them.
One of the issues in Australia that people have been very focused on in the past couple of weeks or so has been the issue of animal cruelty, and I know that you've followed that a little bit. What do you think of the issue of the live exploitation of animals for food?
Well, it's not just an Australian problem, it's all over. The transport of animals is a big issue in Europe. Right now I was with the European Parliament talking to the MEPs, and they wanted me to sign a bill. So it's partly the cruelty of the transport, but it's also the abattoirs. And I'm sure the abattoirs in Indonesia are horrific, but so too are the abattoirs in the United States. And I don't know what the condition of those in Australia is, but I bet there's some pretty ghastly ones.
Is it something that there is any sort of global consciousness about?
I think something like the issue in Australia is going to help people think about it. But you can go beyond that and think that as more and more people want more and more meat because the middle class is coming up, it's not going to be possible to feed these number of people meat without totally destroying the environment. And it's not just cutting down the rainforest to get land to grow the grain. It's also the terrible waste of water and waste of energy in transforming vegetable protein to animal protein.
The issue of ethical eating had a bit of attention recently because the Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg revealed that he was only eating things that he could kill himself. What's your view of that issue, the so-called ethical eating model? If we must eat meat, I don't. But if we have to, then it should certainly be free-range animals which haven't been kept in these. I mean, when I looked at a piece of meat on my plate, having learned about intensive farming, I looked at it and I thought, this symbolizes fear, pain, death, and I don't want to eat that. So I stopped just like that. Was that a long time ago? Or?
That was very early 70s. I feel so much better, so much lighter since. Definitely.
In every article that I've read about you, people always say what an interesting and remarkable life you've had. How much do you put that down to luck and fate, and how much to ambition and drive and planning?
Wasn't much planning about it. I put a huge amount down, anything I've done that I feel a bit proud of, to the wise way that I was raised by my mother. She was extraordinary. The support she gave me as a child, when everybody laughed at my dream of going to live with animals in Africa, she didn't. She would say, if you really want something and you work hard and you never give up, you find a way.
Do you have a sense that you ended up doing in life what you were meant to be doing?
I sometimes do. I look back at the different choices that I've had to make at different crossroads, and it just seems that all I had to do was make the right choice, and everything else had been sort of planned.
Jane Goodall, it's been such a pleasure to have your company. Thank you very much.
Thank you.